In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement, the weekly show that discusses all aspects of retirement. I'm your host, Rick Everett, and along with me, the full complement of panelists to include Financial Advisor Matt Goolsby with Market Advisory Group, our lead CPA with Market Tax Services, Joshua Cicora, from Market Medicare Advisors, Mark Benefiel, and with Eidelman Law Firm, our estate planning firm, Gerald Eidelman. Welcome everyone. We visit with people every week in our offices, and this show recaps some of those conversations. If you're like those we meet with, we want you to know that we're here to help. Matt, you met with an interesting couple this week. Share with us a little bit about these folks.
I mean, you're exactly right. We're here to help people that are concerned or maybe anxious about retirement, and specifically Dave and Sandy, they had plenty to be concerned and anxious about. Dave and Sandy, they were very nearing retirement, and all of a sudden Sandy had been diagnosed with an unexpected health diagnosis. We'll just keep it at that. And there were some things going on there, and that was paramount. That was their top concern. So of course, as a financial advisor, I don't want to talk about healthcare, so we went down the hall and grabbed one of our Medicare advisors to bring them in.
Well, and she was probably facing retirement a year or so earlier than what was anticipated. I'm sure, Mark, Medicare was at the top of the list of the concerns that they were wanting to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely had questions and concerns about her coverage because she was facing retiring earlier than what she had planned. She had been covered under the company's healthcare plan. And at this point, since she was going to retire, she was worried because she was past 65 that maybe she had missed her window to get on Medicare or to start Medicare. Of course, we assured her right away that that wasn't the case. Also, the secondary concern was she has these overriding health issues, and because she had passed 65, she had heard wrongly that she wasn't going to be eligible for, like, say, Medicare supplements or some of those things that are a guaranteed issue. And we were able to sit down with her and assure her, in fact, that she did still have an opportunity to enroll because she was having what we call a qualifying event for a special enrollment period. She was retiring, and so even though she was 65, she still had another 6 months she could enroll after she came off of that. And then we were able to let her know that even though she had these pre-existing conditions, that she'd be in a position to still have the full breadth of choices that Medicare offered her, whether it be a supplement plan or even an Advantage plan, what that might look like. So we were able to pretty quickly quell some of those fears and then walk her through a process and show her how we could get her started in a really timely manner, and so she could take that worry off her plate.
Now, undoubtedly an unfortunate set of circumstances, but what a peace of mind that they had a team they could rely on, someone to turn to in those stressful moments. Now, Matt, had their previous advisor done any kind of tax planning with them at all?
Yeah, it's a good question, but the answer is no. And that's not uncommon because most of the time you're meeting with your financial advisor to save for retirement, and you're not really thinking about taking money out of those accounts or the distribution phase. And they both had their retirement accounts. He had a fairly large IRA from his years of saving for retirement. She fortunately had a Roth, which is the tax-free kind. We kind of tend to like tax-free. But their situation was changing, and with Sandy possibly retiring early, she needed to look at her Social Security options. And of course, we talk all the time how those tax rates can be, not tax rates, but this formula for taxation on Social Security can be very tricky. And as a financial advisor myself, I'm not a CPA. We went down the hall and we brought in Mr. Joshua Cicora to answer her questions on those tax concerns.
Yeah, they came to the table with a lot of concerns. Not only were they concerned about retirement and how they were going to take money and how Social Security fit into it, but their concerns got compressed, right? With Sandy's early retirement, they were having to accelerate those plans and having to talk about a lot of things all at once. not only do they have these retirement accounts that they had put together that they needed to deal with, not just tax-wise, but we had to talk about how it played in with their Social Security. But Dave's mom had an IRA and that he had inherited, and that added another piece to the puzzle. So we needed to talk about how these different pieces all kind of fit together, where the taxes were causing problems, and what we could do to mitigate some of those problems today. So when they were years down the road into retirement, taxes weren't as big of a problem as they could be had things gone unaddressed.
I'm curious, as a person's health changes in retirement, it's got to have some kind of impact on an estate plan, Gerald, or no?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely triggering events that would want to make you make some changes to your estate plan. One of the big things that they had done documents, but they were really old. I mean, they were like when their kids were still young. So they were like 30, 40 years old. And while they're still valid, they don't represent the picture that they had right then and there. One of the biggest things that they were not thinking about was their power of attorney. In this case, Sandy would need care at some point. She might deteriorate, and her husband might be the one to make the decisions for her. Well, this plan did not have a power of attorney for health. Now, people think, well, if my spouse can speak for me, but that's not always true. The doctor always has the prerogative to make decisions based upon their best understanding of the situation, which may not be what you want to happen. And if you have a spouse that is ready to step in and mandate that your wishes be held true, then you don't have to worry about winding up, in a long-term situation where you're in a respirator, where you have no opportunity to recover. So having these things in place, and I always tell people, is that, a lot of times having an old power of attorney can create its own problems. This was 30 or 40 years old. Legally, they're still binding, but other, the people who are taking it may question it because it's so old. So again, when you're having these changes in life, it's always important to renew your documents to visit the terms of the estate plan.
This is just one of the many examples of how we work together as a team. Do you have a complete team helping you in retirement? Looking ahead to retirement could feel like looking through rose-colored glasses, but do those glasses even have the right prescription? At Market Advisory Group, we can help guide you into and through retirement. Blind spots get fewer and further in between when you have a full set of professionally skilled eyes helping you along. If you'd like to set up a complimentary, no-obligation consultation, operators are standing by right now to take your call at 316-252-8707. Again, that number, 316-252-8707. And be sure and check out our website at ionretirement.com. We'll be back with more of the show right after this.
Out on the water, there is a moment. Perfect synchronization. The team working together in harmony to reach their goal. Now, imagine finding a team of financial professionals to help run your course down the river of retirement. Market Advisory Group is that team. Financial advisors, tax professionals, estate planning attorneys, and Medicare advisors. All in the same boat. If you don't have a team like this in one place, it can become a hassle to relay information between them. When you come to Market Advisory Group, we bring everyone together for you. To get you answers in real time. To help make sure you don't miss something that puts your unique plan off course. You shouldn't be the one doing all the work to keep your retirement on pace. you should have a team in the boat with you. Your voice telling them where you're at, where you'd like to end up, and how you want to get there. And at that point, everyone falls into sync, all pulling in the same direction, toward the same purpose. Your retirement's financial security. We are Market Advisory Group, proud sponsor of Shocker Rowing.
Hi, and welcome back into Eye on Retirement. Every day, we meet with viewers just like you. We engage in sharing solutions to their concerns and worries to help navigate into and through the years of retirement. Matt, do you have another story you could share with us today?
I sure do. Over the weekend, I taught a Social Security class here at a local community center. And by the way, if you guys ever want to go to any of our classes, we really encourage that. You can go to our website, marketadvisorygroup.com, and right at the top, there's a classes tab. You can check out any classes on different topics that could be in your area. We host them in the Kansas City and Wichita area as well, so we'd love to see you at those. Check those out. But after the class, Cindy and Tom, they came up to me, and they had this really look of concern and fear in their eyes. And I said, do you have a question? They said, yes, we know this was a Social Security class, and we're looking to retire soon, and we got a lot of good education on our situation this morning, but Cindy's mother, she's in her 90s, and she has some real estate property, some investment things, and we really are concerned now that we didn't do proper Medicaid planning there. And of course, I said, well, if you guys come in, and they have since come in, because this is a pretty important thing. Time is of the essence when you're 90. I met with a guy one time that was 90. He said, I don't buy green bananas because I might not even get to use them. But so working with Cindy and Tom, we immediately prioritized the fact that they had this issue that needed to be addressed because Cindy's mother had no estate plan. So we went down the hall and grabbed Gerald, one of our estate planning attorneys, brought him in to continue this conversation.
Yeah, I met with them and obviously the mom. And one of the things that comes up the first thing that comes up is what's happening to the mother's estate if she winds up going to Medicaid or needs long-term care, actually, to be more precise. One of the things that people don't realize is really what you wind up doing is either self-insuring or going to Medicaid. But Medicaid causes you to spend all your money. In her case, she would all have to spend everything but $2,000 before Medicaid would have chipped in and paid for long-term care. Normally what we do is we prepare for these things, for Medicaid planning, as far ahead of the curve as we can. The reason for that is because there's a 5-year look-back period where you can't have given anything away if you're going to qualify for Medicaid. And of course, when a person is 90 years old, the probability of outrunning the 5-year period, it gets diminished quite significantly. So in this case, we had to, I heard Matt said before, it's like you don't want to buy insurance when the barn is on fire. And that's basically where they were at. She didn't need Medicaid at this point, but any tripping in one direction or another, she might wind up doing that. And we needed to prepare for that. And there's many things we can do at the last minute, but they're never going to save your assets like preparing ahead of time. If we prepare ahead of time, we can put fences around your assets, protect them from being treated as your assets and counted against you. It will allow you to qualify for Medicaid quicker, and it will prevent your basically having your estate ripped off the hands of your kids.
And this is a question that I, as a financial advisor, am posed with more and more often in initial consultations, is how do I protect my assets from becoming wards of the state through Medicaid? Interesting, Matt, it was a Social Security conference. It spurred an estate planning question, and I'm sure it was beneficial for them to know that they now had plans in place, but was there more to the story?
There was, and I'm glad you asked that. But of course, their chief concern was what was going on with their mother. Then as we got to know them a little bit and talked about their situation, Cindy was semi-retired, and the fact that she had always thought, she wanted to take Social Security at age 70, and I'm going to keep letting this roll up. But through the course of a conversation, getting to know them a little bit, I found out they had kids later in life. And one of their children was still under the age of 18. And I said, well, Cindy, has anyone told you that if you file, one of your children, if they're under the age of 18, can be eligible for a Social Security benefit as well until they turn 18 or leave high school? And she goes, no one had ever told us about this. So it really changed her thought process on maybe letting her Social Security roll up. And we started walking through the numbers to say, well, if you filed today, what does that add in extra benefits to your situation versus having the higher benefit at age 70. But then, of course, in that discussion of figuring out, well, dollars today versus dollars tomorrow, we discovered that there were tax questions, believe it or not. Are you surprised about that?
The tax man cometh.
The tax man cometh. And as a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, so guess what I have to do? I have to go down and ask Joshua, well, does the kid pay tax on this? Does she pay tax on this? How much does this change their income? And these were all great questions to have, but it helped that we got the answers. It helped her make a decision in that process.
Real answers in real time. Josh, how were you able to provide guidance?
Yeah, so that's the great thing about the fact that we all sit around the table together and have these conversations is that I can just step in the middle when you guys have already explored the ideas of Social Security and having the kid at home. So then I come in and we talk about, in a broad perspective, how taxation around Social Security works. And then we start to drill in and look at how it applies to their situation. Yeah, she'll turn on Social Security. She'll pay taxes on it, and we'll talk about how that fit in with their income, their cash flow, and what it did to their tax situation. But then we started talking about the kid and how, the kid's being a kid and it doesn't really have much going on. So when you apply those facts to the circumstances, it really starts looking like some cash-free or some tax-free cash coming into their household that would enable them to do a lot of things that they thought they had to wait until that Social Security rolled up to the point where they could do something.
Again, real answers in real time. Are you frustrated when it comes to getting answers to your retirement questions? Are you anxious that you could be missing something in retirement? Then come in for your no obligation consultation with this complete retirement team. It's easy to do. Simply call 316-252-8707 and schedule your appointment. We'll be back with the final segment of Eye on Retirement right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hi, and welcome back into this final segment of Eye on Retirement. Matt, in the prior segment, we were talking about Tom and Cindy, and we talked about financial matters as well as tax matters, estate planning matters, but I'm guessing there was potentially a Medicare component to this story as well.
Interesting you bring that up, because when we started talking about how she might take her Social Security, she goes, well, I'm already over the age 65. Should I just go ahead and look at Medicare? And I said, well, you know, your husband, Tom, he's covering your health insurance through his employer. Maybe you should just stay on that plan. No, that's not what I said. I said, you know, that's a good question. But for that question, you know, we probably need to bring in one of our Medicare advisors to have that conversation with you guys. And we brought in Mark. And Mark, what did you find out when we brought you into the conversation?
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of times when we look at the option of staying on a spouse's plan, if they're employed, typically with an employer, a larger employer that's over, 20 employees, we will compare that with what they might be able to do on Medicare. And sometimes the answer is, yes, you're better off to stay on the plan you're on. It makes much more financial sense. Also has maybe a larger breadth of services that are available. But sometimes we'll take a look at that and realize that they may actually do better on Medicare. And a third option is that she goes on Medicare and he stays with his employer's plan, and there's a lot of different options there. But by comparing those, looking at the different coverages, the different costs involved, it's not uncommon for us to be able to get to a point where we recognize that the best option for them is to stay on Medicare. And oftentimes we do say, you know, that employer plan is a fantastic plan. Stay on that as long as you can.
Yeah, and I think they had they had the minor at home, the child under the age 18, that they had to stay on that health plan, I think was the driving factor there. But it was so beneficial to bring in Mark and kind of tee them up. Then they kind of got a preview of what Medicare would look like for them when their child would go onto their own health insurance.
Gerald Eidelman Law Firm. I want to go back to our first segment. We were talking about a couple that had an outdated power of attorney, some 30 years old.
Yes.
And my question is there ever such a thing as a backup power of attorney?
Well, usually I recommend people when they appoint somebody to be their power of attorney is to make sure there's always somebody else. Normally, most people will appoint their spouse as the primary and then have somebody else as the backup. Now, because this power of attorney was so old, she did have her husband, and he had his wife, to be the primary power of attorney for health and finances. But back in the day, their kids were young, so they couldn't turn to the kids as a backup, and they had put their parents as backups. Either the parents at the time that they came to see me were dead, or they did not have the capacity or ability to take over their finances or their health if necessary. So it's extremely crucial to think about those things, because one of you is likely to pass away first, unless you get lucky and both of you pass at the same time. But you're going to need to have somebody to back you up besides your spouse.
Thank you very much. Matt, interesting meeting I had recently with a client that came in to see us on an initial consultation. They had a nest egg of several $100,000, and they'd been working with one of the big box store advisors in the past. And so the question came to me of, how much is it going to cost me to move my money to Market Advisory Group? And I was a little puzzled. I said, well, I'm not sure I'm understanding your question. There's not a cost per se involved with moving your money to us. And they said, well, when I went to XYZ Advisor several years ago, it cost me thousands of dollars right off the bat as far as just moving my money over. Have you run into this too?
Yeah, and it's not uncommon. I mean, the way the financial services industry is set up is it can be very confusing on how fees get charged. And that's one of the things we do in our analysis. We walk them through where they're at now, and if they decided to make the switch, what that would look like. And that gives them really a peace of mind to see that on a sheet in dollars and cents and percentages and all those things. But everyone's situation is unique and different, and that's what we walk them through. their situation.
Another aspect of having a whole team, because we're not looking at just the financial aspects of a person's retirement.
No, we're looking at everything. When to take Social Security, income planning, what are you going to need in retirement? What are your taxes today? What are your taxes going to be in the future? If you're married, how could your taxes go up if you lose a spouse in the future? All these different things play in, and not any one is more important than the other, but what is the most important thing is that they're all being worked on together.
When you have a journey ahead of you, it can feel scarier if you're going it alone. When all the tough decisions come down to only you, it can feel less scary when you have a whole team on your side to help, to offer professional advice, to lend a skilled hand in times of need. Retirement is no different. Maybe you have a financial advisor, but are they effectively helping you with tax concerns? Do they know all the intricacies of Medicare? And it takes a skilled estate planning attorney to set up an effective estate plan honoring your wishes for your life's work. If you'd like to feel less alone when it comes to your retirement planning, Market Advisory Group is here to help. And feel free to give us a call today for your complimentary no-obligation consultation at 316-252-8707. Again, 316-252-8707. And be sure and go on our website at ionretirement.com. There you can catch past episodes, and if you'd like to schedule an appointment online, you can do so right there. That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Rick Everett, along with the entire retirement team at Market Advisory Group, reminding you we're here to keep an eye on retirement.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client names have been changed to protect their identities. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Eidelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. All rights reserved.